Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome to a special edition of Sackheads Radio on SHR Media Network. This is Sackhead Clint here live with Sackhead Sean, live from Freedom Fest 2016 at Planet Hollywood, Las Vegas, Nevada. We're here this morning with a very special guest, Mr. Wyatt Mc Kee. Spelled MC Key, and since we're in Vegas and he's kind of been on the turntables and dancing and having a good time at night. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good.
Welcome to our show. And here's love to have you. Been excited to interview you. Been trying to interview you for the last couple of days, but you are so popular here, not only with the other media outlets, but with the young ladies, that trying to get you for an interview has been tough. At least. So thank you for taking some time with us this morning. No, look, you are such an interesting young man. We've had several conversations off air. I've enjoyed speaking at length with you, and I'm glad that our listeners get an opportunity to get to know you. You're what, 18 years old?
Yes,
right?
sir.
And there's so much that you're involved with. And please tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and some of the things you're involved with.
Yeah, so I first started kind of with politics because this would be my first year to vote, and kind of stuck. I love economics and studying economics and starting to get into some philosophy. Mm-hmm. But I started with politics and just kind of learning, and then kind of started doing business. I've been learning business like for my whole life, but I started to execute it now, and that's why I'm here. And I decided to write a book. And it should be published in December. Hopefully I'll get you guys a signed copy.
I would appreciate it. Love that.
Yeah.
What's your book about? What's the title of it, and what motivated you to write this book?
So it's called Gen Z Politics. I thought I was a millennial for the longest time, but truly I'm actually a Gen Z. I'm under millennial.
What's the difference?
I don't know. I think millennial cuts off at like 20.
Okay.
So anything under that's a Gen Z.
Okay.
So I wrote it because I noticed that some states were growing up liberal and some states were growing up conservative, and I think that was weird to me. Mm-hmm. And I kind of just noticed that we were losing a little bit of policy in the debates, and America can't handle not having policy. They just kind of vote because Donald Trump is funny. Marco Rubio is like has small hands, like they don't vote for him. Like that's just weird to me.
Right.
So
they're not issue oriented.
Yeah, it's not very a little bit, like it's still there, but for the the more intelligent people, but for the masses, it's I don't know what they vote for. And I just noticed my crowd was like Bernie Sanders, and I was like, well, do you know why you like Bernie Sanders? Because I'm completely, I'd love to have a conversation. Like I don't care if you want to vote for yourself. Like I just want to know like why you believe in what you believe in.
Right.
So they just didn't know. They just were like, oh well, he's like, no, I don't know. So I wrote it because I wanted to state like liberals' view on like my first chapter is like gun control and conservative view on gun control, and then I hit every single thing there was and kind of tried to get into detail. So I want them to pick for themselves and not get one side of the story, because that's why they grow up conservative or grow up liberal, because their parents vote a certain way and then they start to vote a certain way. My parents are more conservative, and then I still studied exactly what I believe in. I studied every single political attribute about every candidate, and I tried to really grasp like what I believe in, because I kind of noticed like that the Republicans aren't so conservative. Like I just kind of noticed that. I learned that myself, so that's why I'm writing the book, because I'm learning as well. I'm always growing every day, and there's no time for not learning.
So it almost seems like, and maybe this was your intention with the book. It almost seems like your book is a self-reflection as you're learning things about each particular issue, and taking a real middle of the road approach to it, presenting both sides of the views for a reader within your generation, right, the Gen Z folks, and making so that they can make up their own determination. But it almost seems like it's as you're researching these topics, it's more of a journal of, hey, these are the arguments I found pro, against, and kind of your thoughts. Do you include your thoughts in there as well?
I try not to. Yeah, I tried my best not to. Sometimes I'd read it and I'm like, oh shit, I kind of I wanted to make it not biased whatsoever because, you know, when you go to CPAC, it's just kind of conservative down your throat, and I'm all about conservatives, but I learn more when it's both sides. When we go to these panels up here, and it's kind of like they debate each other. I learn more. I learn more about each side. And then even when you're having an intelligent conversation, you can't be biased. I really like that. And that's why I think Freedom Fest is one of my more favorite free-minded conventions.
Now we're in Vegas, so you have to be careful when you say conservative down your throat, because that can mean something completely different here in this town.
Very, very different.
Right,
but it's better than liberally down your throat.
Right. And you may have said that last night, and that's cool. Like, I'll high five you right now. But you know, so just listening to your book. First of all, that sounds very interesting to me. But as a follow up to that, as somebody who, you know, I've kind of gotten to know a little bit about you. And as a follow-up to that, as a reader, I would be very interested in a follow-up book about writing your perspective and what you learned during your first journey of writing that book. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I could, because I'd love to talk to you about it. First of all, when your book comes out, would you be interested in coming back on our show and kind of talking about some of the things that you learned?
Yeah. So I mean, next year, Valerie was going to have me speak this year. But she wanted me to really feel out the crowd because it's a different crowd compared to the conventions that I've been to, and she was absolutely correct. So I'm glad that I kind of felt the crowd and was happy that I just came and was a viewer of the panels. So I should speak next year, and the book should be coming out, and maybe have like a booth, and we'll do some things like that. I'll sign my book up there, so it'd be great. Yeah,
that would be awesome. Just because, I mean, it's such a journey, and it's a journey that a lot of people don't take in terms of really laying out both sides of every issue. And like you said, you know, learning so much of that, particularly at the age you are. You know, I mean, I've got a daughter older than you, you know, and so like what that looks like in terms of the things you learn and kind of how you grow and that, I'd be very interested to hear. What do you think is the number one issue facing Gen Z, and is that different than the number one issue perhaps that millennials are dealing with, because they're starting to go to college and move on and grow, or maybe graduate college now and get into the workforce?
That's a good question. I think that's like off the top of my head, the best one I could think of is I really hope we don't lose policy. That's a big one. I hope they kind of understand economics, because like a lot of kids my age really like Bernie Sanders, and they're like, oh, free college. Like, obviously it's not free. Like, we're paying for, like, someone's paying for it,
right.
and then when you go to college, you're going to pay for it, and you just don't really realize at the time that you're going to be paying a crap load of money for the younger kids' college. I mean, I just want them to really grasp economics and really kind of just think on a free-minded level. Okay.
And is that different than you think than the millennial folks? Because I remember we had some millennials on last year, and it was interesting. You know, it seemed like their focus was more in terms of it seemed like they had more of a global policy.
Well, you know,
and kind of like America's place in the world stage. I don't.
It was 50-50, but there was no middle of the road. It seemed like seemed like you had the really, really globalist kind of ideal, like you said, America in the world, and then you had the very, very conservative millennial on the other side. There was no kind of glossing in the middle of the road, and it seemed like the two would have a hard time meeting in the middle or having a conversation even.
Yeah, and
we could have set that up, and it would have been an awesome fight, though. I don't know what we were thinking. We blew that one.
We were probably still hungover.
Yeah, that's true.
Sean, we were probably still hungover. So where do you go from here after this book's written? What are your next goals? What are your next steps?
Yeah, I mean, I got tons of business things going right now. It's just kind of, the book's just kind of a side project. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, I mean, like, you're right. I mean, I may follow up with a book.
I would love to read that second book. I'm going to read the first book anyways, but I would really love to read that second book just because of the conversations we've already had, you know?
Yeah, I'm just trying to stay away from, like, getting targeted, you know, like, I just want, like...
It's kind of fun.
When they think of me...
Like, I'm not going to lie. When you get hate mail, like, it's kind of funny. We actually have, a wall of shame.
I just, like, when they think of me, they think of, like, oh, this dude that's just, like, ew, conservative. Like, but if I write the book and they have they have no idea. I mean, I'm talking about both sides completely equal. Even, sometimes I'm, like, in the book, like, like I'm crying while I'm writing it, but I'm like favoring libertarian, like liberals,
Right.
And then I favor conservatives. So if you read the book, you would have no idea.
But have you found in your research that there is any topic where you perhaps fall on maybe the more liberal side of an argument? And for example, Sean and I, it's no secret here, we're an opinion show on Sackheads Radio. So we're typically more conservative, but we're definitely more libertarian in terms of on social issues.
I think I actually took a test and I was a little bit libertarian because of the I think it was because of the gays.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm completely like for the gays. You do your thing, like
right.
So hopefully it doesn't. The only problem I'd have with that is just like a slippery slope effect, because we're kind of seeing is like it was like they can get married, which is completely fine. I love that, but and then now like there's some bathroom shit going on, and like you can go in any bathroom you want. That's
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, we are.
Well, it seems like we've gone way past common sense, and we've just gone to common appeasement of everybody.
Yeah, that's
versus
exactly
trying
right.
to keep some sort of reality in play.
They're worried about saving the feelings, air quotes there, of the one at the expense of the feelings and comfort of the majority. And I mean, look, there's just that transgender male who was arrested in Target. For taking pictures in the women's changing room, and because of Target's policy and so forth. It's crazy to me.
And we just don't know where we're going to go from here, because if you say that in 1930, we're like, guys, that's pretty old, but like 20 years ago, like transgender are allowed to go into bathrooms and like gays are allowed to get married, you would never think that was true.
Right.
So we have no idea what is going to come for us, and hopefully we stay level-headed.
Look, and Sean and I have had this opinion on the air. The gay marriage issue. We really don't care. I mean, that's in our opinion. Sean, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to speak for you, but I know we've had so many of these conversations, and you're busy twinkling your fingers right now at the speed of light,
like you wouldn't believe.
Online, I know, but we don't think that marriage should be defined by government.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, marriage is between two people. It was originally, for religious purposes and so forth. And if there's a church that wants to recognize that, hey, God bless them, have at it. That's your thing. How does that affect me at all? That's the individual liberty. If there's churches that don't want to recognize it, great. If there's atheists that want to form a union, well, then call it a civil union. If it's man-woman, man-man, woman-woman, if the state sponsors it or sanctions it, I think it should be called a union. That's just my own opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think government has any place in marriage. But the transgender bathroom issue, I think you're right. I think that's something that's completely different, because it's something that does affect the liberties of others. And it affects,
you're right.
Where does one person's liberty stop? It stops when the liberties of another are adversely affected. And so if my daughter can't go into a public restroom without being secure that a man is not going to come in and violate her natural right to privacy in her body and so forth, and have to deal with that, or even kids. I mean, if you have a 10-year-old daughter or an 11-year-old daughter, 12-year-old daughter, and she's just starting to come into her own, and she's just starting to hit that age of puberty, would you want a young man coming in that restroom with her because he quote unquote identifies? I mean, that can have a severe impact on a young lady's psyche, I think, particularly as they're growing with themselves. And there's a lot of uncertainty and so forth. So I think you're absolutely right on that issue. That's a slippery slope. Now, you brought up that you're kind of really getting into that you have gotten into some of the philosophies and stuff. And you and I talked a little bit about a great book by Leo Strauss,
mm-hmm.
Called Natural Law and History. And I highly recommend that anybody reads that book. I think it's a book you'll really enjoy.
I can't wait to read it.
Yeah, particularly as you're into that philosophy role. And there's a fundamental difference between political science, which Gen Z folks are about to study in college, and where millennials are just kind of coming out of that. Where in college you're studying political science,
mm-hmm.
you're not studying political philosophy anymore. And so, as you kind of go along your journey, you'll find a lot of stuff out there poli-sci, right? Well, it's a science. We need to we need to come together and really find out a way. It's a science, right? It's how do you wheel and deal with the other side, and once that starts happening, now you start sacrificing some of your own beliefs for core issues, right? Whereas the political philosophy, where I think is very important, it's, hey, how do you stay true to your personal philosophy and values and morals, and then move that through society and through the political realm? Now, is that something you're interested in looking at as well?
Yeah, I've actually got to listen to some poli-sci 30 classes at Cal in California, at Cal Berkeley. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that was probably a little bit more on the liberal side.
A lot, yeah. Berkeley is the bastion of craziness. Am I wrong, Sean?
No, not wrong at all.
Are you have an application to go to college anywhere? Are you looking to go to
college?
college?
I don't know if I told you guys, but I didn't really feel like I needed to go to college. I learned more doing this, and but I actually am playing baseball, so that's truly like the only reason I'm going. But I got signed to play baseball, so I can do business all my life, but I can't play baseball at this peak of a level.
Right.
So yeah.
Where are you going to be playing?
Blinn.
Okay.
So I decided to go to a JUCO college. It's probably you can get drafted faster.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna get my shot in baseball. It's whatever.
What team do you want to play for?
If I had to pick like college or majors.
Yeah.
Shoot.
You
Probably.
got two big baseball fans sitting right
Yeah, I was
here.
going to say, you better make a wise choice.
I'd have to pick probably the Rangers.
How come?
Just because that's my
Hit the mute
hometown.
button.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've always been watching them. If I'm playing baseball at a professional level, I would
Do you
play
really
for the
care?
I would play for the Padres.
Okay.
I would pay for anybody.
Right. No, that's what I mean. You probably
Yeah.
wouldn't care, right? And San Diego's a gorgeous town. So I'm an Oakland A's fan.
Mm-hmm.
So Rangers are in that division. But I would totally root for you. Like, even if we were playing against you, I would completely root for you. It's because I think you're a very special young man. I've really enjoyed our conversation. Now, how can folks find our book? How can they find you? How can they get in contact with you?
You guys could follow me on Twitter, probably. I'm really active with my Twitter account. And W McKee 32 W MCKEE 32. But yeah, you guys come to Freedom Fest. You'll see me speak next year.
Awesome. Sir, thank you so much. Yes.
Yeah, I'll have my book on Amazon. I'll hopefully put it on my website. My website should be launched soon, so getting a developer because I absolutely do not know how to do digital coding. So.
And if they follow you on Twitter, that'll
Come on, all you kids can do all that coding stuff.
Yeah.
Right. All right, excellent, sir. Thank you so much for being here. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Been a pleasure. Look forward to talking to you again. That's it for the interview with Mr. McKee, Sackheads Radio, SHR Media Network. Live from Freedom Fest 2016, Planet Hollywood, Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm Sackhead Clint, signing off also for Sackhead Sean.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.